That's why she's losing all these matches. She paid too much attention to being a dentist. I guess that's the only reason I can think of that you would introduce somebody and tell their backstory like that, and then they always get their ass kicked. So then they switch her heel. And after a rocky start, she's doing that even better than she was being a babyface, into the smart-ass interviews and the fucking great facials in the ring. And they had booked this finish for her to get beat by another fucking Japanese schoolgirl, and I'm sorry, nobody is going to give a fuck about Hikaru Shida on a mainstream level in the United States of America. Get over it. But the point is, the finish going in was to beat her again now that she's a heel. But when she got whacked in the nose, and she fights through the bloody nose, and you can tell it's real because it keeps bleeding. And they go back and forth, and then she almost gets her finish, her submission hold on Shida, but the referee stops Britt Baker from putting the mandible claw on because she's bleeding from her nose, so she can't stick her hand in the other girl's mouth. I don't know what the fuck. So she gets a glove from the referee, which causes enough time that Shida's able to escape, or Britt Baker should have put her finish on and beat this girl. But she was stopped by the referee. Then Shida finally recovers and fights back and forth, bing, 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 and then fucking beats her by fucking running across and kneeing her right in the fucking face and the broken nose that she's given her earlier. So you have put Britt Baker in this match, has been in the sympathetic position. She's the one that was bleeding. She's the one that the referee stopped from getting her fucking finishing hold on her opponent. And then she's the one who gets put down and in defeat is the sympathetic figure. If she had been tatered and had the bloody nose like that and done all the shit she did, and then Shida made a comeback, and then Britt Baker just scooped her and fucking pinned her with her feet on the fucking ropes, Britt Baker as a heel would have gotten her heat back. But as it was, she was presented as a babyface. She fought through all this. She should have won, but the referee stopped her from doing it. And then she gets beat with this goddamn running fucking knee. But boy, it was kind of a heelish thing to do to a fucking woman with a broken nose. So they switched her babyface in the fucking match, and it beat her again.
Now, did you see the promo afterwards, or did you not?
No, I didn't, because it was after the goddamn baby oil fellow.
Well, let me just tell you, it was so good, because she's still covered in blood. And she says that Shida is the dirtiest wrestler she's ever been in the ring with. And she's lucky she didn't do anything to Britt Baker's teeth. And then Britt goes, well, actually, I can fix my own teeth. I'm a dentist. And walks off. It was really good. Britt Baker, to me, out of everyone in the ring on this show, and obviously doing promos, stole the show. She was fantastic this week.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. She, and they were gifted something, because at least I hated that she had to get her fucking nose broken and do a job. And, they were gifted something there that could have got some attention. But here's the thing. We've come to find out that it doesn't matter how marketable you are in this country or how good you are in the ring, you will have a job here and be featured here if you are friends with the fucking elite and or fucking in some way related to a Japanese fetish of some description. But anyway, speaking of fetishes of all descriptions, I don't know why I still speak to you when you make me see things like this.
Like the Britt Baker match?
No, like what I'm about to talk about. Kenny Olivier and Michael knock it the fuck off. And if anybody, after seeing that self-masturbation session of a bunch of guys jacking off on national television, and instead of everybody else has been being so serious in all the companies. They've been going out there. They've been at WrestleMania. They laid their shit in. The girls laid their shit in. Britt Baker just got a broken nose. Guys have been trying to figure out a way to get these fucking things over. And they go out and just indulge their goofiness on this fucking idiot billionaire's dime on national television. They give not a fuck about the wrestling business. They don't care about whether they have a fucking legitimate match or not. They don't care about all those other guys that are working their asses off to get this. They want to go out and do their goofy shit and be funny. And that's all they care about. And everybody now, I've been saying these things for so many years. You know, my stories usually don't change because I just start with what actually happened. But I've been telling people that things would happen and things come to pass. And I've told you now that Kenny Olivier is a fucking ballet dancer that is imitating wrestling moves that he's seen people do in a fucking wrestling ring or on a video game. And this was living proof. And nobody ever better try to defend the greatest wrestling artist of all time again after this fucking four-finger stinker. This hurt the fans' feelings. Can you imagine anybody sitting at home going, what the fuck are they doing? Just from the locker room thing. They're sitting in their locker room, Olivier and Knock It Off. And they're doing comedy already and not even convincing comedy with any fucking oomph to it, just boring back and forth. They want to call themselves the best friends. Olivier says, oh, that's a really popular act here in All Elite Wrestling. No professional wrestler that I've ever known in 40 years would say about somebody else on television they're a really popular act. That sounds so fucking markish. So you would have been slapped for calling somebody that on television at one point in time in this business. But it's just a play to them. It's just a high school fucking class where they just all get together with their friends and just, oh, that'll be funny. And the best friends come in and act funny, phony mad about stealing the name. And then they play phony, set up the match as being for the name Best Friends as a fucking joke that nobody's taking seriously. So then they come out and they have a joke of a match that nobody takes seriously. That Knock It the fuck off has a job. As I said, if you're a friend, a lover, or a pet of one of the vice presidents, you can have a job in All Elite Wrestling, and possibly Michael Nakazawa fits all three for Kenny Olivier. Because why the fuck else when there are competent professional wrestlers? Who is this guy? Where has he ever been? What has he done? Where has he worked? What great matches has he had? What qualified him to be in All Elite Wrestling and on national television over any number of dozens of professional wrestlers available out there right now?
If you're really asking that question, he's friends with Kenny Omega. They work together in a promotion called DDT, which is not necessarily one of the Japanese promotions I would pay much attention to. And that's how he got his job here. He's friends with Kenny Omega.
Jericho was fantastic in this. And even, I'll get to that in a minute. They started with the baby oil thing early. And did you notice, go back and watch now, folks, now that I've mentioned this, because you know I've done quite a bit of television post-production in my time, and I can tell a sloppy edit job when I fucking see it. Nakazawa puts baby oil on his chest after he gets chopped by fucking Trent. So then Trent's chops wouldn't work. They just slide off of him. They don't make any noise. Well, if he was really fucking hitting him, for one thing, as everybody knows, it would still make fucking noise, make more noise because he's fucking wet. It was a goofy premise to begin with. But he does that 3 times. Trent chops him 3 times and they slip off and it doesn't fucking hurt him because Trent's an idiot and it takes him 3 times to realize it's not going to work. And then they go to 2 quick crowd shots while they make an edit because when they come back, Trent and Nakazawa are both down on the mat, but you heard no bump sound. And Nakazawa is tagging in Kenny Olivier. So something had to be done by Nakazawa that was so bad that even in this shit show of a match, they had to fucking take it out. They couldn't air it. I can't imagine what that would have been. Then with Olivier in, they start trying to do double team shit, and Nakazawa actually botches a body slam. He almost dropped the fucking guy on his head. Then they do comedy double stomps, which, what did they actually, they had prepped Jericho and Tony that some of their double team moves were called something or other, or whatever the fuck, and they said that was the waitress in the miniskirt move, or whatever the fuck. Then Olivier actually runs Nakazawa's face into Chuck Taylor's dick It puts them in a flying 69 position. So apparently at this point, I noted that Olivier and Nakazawa must have done Japanese gay apartment house wrestling photo shoots for Willie Aptersaki. Then they went to a break on that. How many people would have actually stayed tuned through a break to see more of them than they just seen a flying 69? They come back on the other side. Nakazawa is hopeless. He is obviously, I don't know anything about his background, so I'm going to say it now, that he is obviously another do-it-yourself, untrained mud show fuck that pretends to be a wrestler and as you said, comes from some Japanese promotion that if they booked Olivier and it's not New Japan, they have to be the fucking doll group or whatever. So you could tell he put oil on the ropes and slid Trent's crotch across the ropes, and Trent had to somehow sell that. That would make it easier and less painful. You can't even give somebody a rope burn if you've oiled the ropes first. That's why I wrote down at the time, all these guys and girls going out and working stiff and bleeding and trying to get the empty arena stuff over. And this supposed wannabe, prissy prancy, fancy dancing, finger pointing, Harpo Marx looking piece of shit, great wrestling artist, goes out and not only has and participates in, but sanctioned a joke garbage match like this on their national TV of this new promotion they're trying to fucking get over, and is fucking clueless putz friend that couldn't wrestle his way out of a fucking paper bag and obviously was dangerous, about ready to fucking kill somebody at any given point with his klutziness, only has a job there because he's got this fucking fetish for Japanese whatever the fuck. I know that Japanese schoolgirl porn is a thing. I wasn't aware that grown men pouring baby oil all over themselves is a fetish in Japan. But if Olivier likes it, it has to be. And Jericho actually buried him. He brought up the blow-up doll and the fucking having the match with the kid. He said, yeah, it shows you how fucking genius Kenny Omega is. I think Jericho was burying him on purpose, saying, yeah, go and check this out on YouTube. I'll bury this motherfucker. I won't have to get in the fucking ring with him in All Elite Wrestling. He calling attention to the fact the guy's a fucking goof. Then they did... I can't believe I'm trying to rate this as a wrestling match at this point. They did flat simultaneous tags from a double down. Chuck Taylor's awful, awkward comeback, and then they stared at each other for a minute. Then Nakazawa's face went into Olivier's dick. I'm sure it's a familiar territory. They did two stagey dives where best friends dove out of the ring and Olivier and the other fuck stood there and caught him. Pockets rolled in the ring and ducked the hug. So they did a stagey little hug with Olivier and Naka fuck off, whatever the fuck. More stupid slapstick. I wrote, this is an embarrassment to television that seems like it will never end. Genuine imitation wrestling. Wrestling done by people who are just imitating people doing wrestling. It's like Steve Perry's Filipino replacement in Journey reminds me of Kenny Olivier and all the comedy wrestlers that he's brought from Japan to fucking stink up American TV screens. The guy has the voice, but he doesn't even speak English. So he learned all of Steve Perry's songs phonetically. So when he sings them, he's fucking riffing all over the place and he's fucking doing all those runs on the words and everything, but you can tell he doesn't know what any of them fucking mean. And this is the same thing when you watch Kenny Omega wrestle. He's singing those fucking words, but he don't have a goddamn clue what they mean. And then they did a ridiculous amount of shit. And then Zawa fucking pulled his jock strap off out from under his... I've seen a couple of different of my wives do this with bras. And it was always quite handy, especially if you were in an enclosed space or a car or something, where they can take their bra off without taking their shirt off. He took his jock strap off without taking his tights